Hey, Astro Kids, and welcome back. This is your weekly horoscope for April 5th through April 11th of 2021. And this is the big week where Venus and Jupiter will shift. So if you have not checked out the video on Venus and Aries and on Jupiter and Aquarius, feel free to check that out. I will leave a link above and down below in the description as well. Big shifts that we are seeing happening here in April onward, as we will continue to have some major shifts that we will discuss as we move forward here and into May, where we will see those eclipses take place. So, very exciting week as we're seeing all of these changes that are starting to happen here for us in the month of April. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. So starting off here on April 5th, we are finishing off where we left off last week with the moon in Uttara Ashada. So we are here with the moon in Sagittarius, and this is a big moment of this energy that we talked about of the elephant, of this victory, this conclusion of accepting where we are moving and heading towards. And so, is this a failure? Is this a victory of where we are moving towards here? This is the moment of acceptance. And taking this experience, taking what we know in this moment, and using that to lead towards our next journey here as we're moving forward. And so, whether this has been a time of losses or a time of victories, this is time to accept what you have experienced as a lesson, as something to carry with you as the wisdom to move forward along this journey. And so, this is a time of thinking of all of the wisdom, the knowledge, the information that you have gained throughout this first week of April, bringing this home into this energy of this victory, this accomplishment that we're trying to achieve. So, this is a time of acceptance coming into this week. Now, also on the 5th, we will see the moon meet up with Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter. Remember that we are closing out this Jupiter in Aquarius transit. And so this is the last moment that Jupiter will spend in Capricorn before we shift forward into this Jupiter Aquarius transit. Again, if you have not checked out that transit, make sure to check out that video. I will leave the link above and down below in the description. This is a major shift as we have seen Jupiter in its debilitation of Capricorn for some time now. Jupiter finally getting some happiness as it moves forward out of this sign of Capricorn into Aquarius. So this is a refreshing, this is a new time, this is an exciting time of this new way of thinking and believing. Once again, if you have not checked out that video, make sure to check that out. We will do several videos on this Jupiter transit as Jupiter will retrograde and it will move back into Aquarius and move through these nakshatras within the sign of Aquarius. So we have a lot to talk about with Jupiter. Make sure to check out that first part. Moving forward on the 6th of April, the moon is going to shift into Shravana. So now we have the moon that is moving into Capricorn. This is becoming much more serious in terms of our purpose, our mission, our achievements, our destination of where we're trying to go. You want to make sure that you're listening to your inner intuition, allowing this to guide you in the right direction. Again, we want to take the experiences of what we have gained throughout the previous week. What have you seen? What have you noticed in terms of what works, what doesn't work? Using that to your advantage and using your intuition now to move towards the path that is meant for you. So this is a forward movement. This is a forward push towards your destiny, towards your purpose, towards what you hold meaning in here in life. Again, we have gone through these shifts of the moon repeatedly, as this is a 2 to 3 day shift of the moon. But we're coming back to this space now where this becomes about our purpose, our destiny, of what we're trying to achieve as we're here at the end of the zodiac. On the 7th of April, the moon will move into this space now of Shravana into Shadabiksha. So this is between the 7th and the 8th of April, where we're seeing this shift from Capricorn to Aquarius. And again, this is a time of listening to your intuition. This is a time of listening to your inner guidance, allowing that to navigate you towards your purpose, towards your destination. And so here on the 8th of April, when the moon is within Aquarius, this becomes a time of this energy of your divine mission and purpose, following your karmic duty and principles. This is a huge part of this area here. So as we're coming into this Danisha Nakshatra, this is a time of, once again, following your karmic duty, following your path, listening to your inner guidance and navigation to strive towards what you want to achieve in this moment. Moving forward on April 9th, we're moving into this energy of Purva Bhadra. So this is moving towards the end of Aquarius now, where we're getting into this energy here of, again, your karmic purpose, your duty, your calling, following your destiny and purpose in life, following the divine calling. And so this is a time especially of ridding yourself of these old attachments that no longer serve you. We have this energy, again, of Shadabisha, which is the thousand-petaled lotus. So we're coming out of this space now where this is a time to face those habits, those patterns that no longer serve you, and move towards your purpose, your calling, your destiny. So this is a check-in during this week of, are you on the right path? Are you on the right journey? Now we're also going to see Venus shift into the sign of Aries. Again, if you have not checked out that video, make sure to check it out. Big transit that we're going to see happen as Venus shifts into Aries. This energy starting to become more lively, more playful, more impulsive. And a big part of this will be the Mercury and Aries transit coming up here. That is also a big factor, as well as Mars and Gemini. If you have not checked out that video on Mars and Gemini, just put that one out yesterday where I went into great depth of how this energy, this impulsivity, this mental agility is going to affect us all, and how we need to stay focused instead of scattering ourselves into all of these distractions. So if you want to know how this Venus in Aries and this Mars and Gemini transit will affect you, make sure to check that out. I will leave links down below in the description. As we move into the 10th and the 11th, now we're getting into the realm of Pisces. So now we are moving forward into this energy of Revati, where this becomes a huge time of going inward, going into the deeper recesses of the mind. And so this becomes a great time for meditation. This becomes a great time for self-reflection as we're coming to the end of this week. Again, we're moving towards the end of the zodiac now, coming into this week of April. And so this is a great time to focus on your calling, your purpose, your mission. If there are areas where you're seeing these repeating patterns that no longer serve you, if there's areas where you're seeing confusion, This is a time to go inward. This is a time to reflect inward and to address those areas that need work and improvement. On the 10th, we do have the moon coming into an association with Neptune. And so this especially becomes a very spiritual time to tap into the divine, to tap into your inner knowing, to hold this space for spirit, for the universe, for God, however you refer to this energy. This is time to go inward and to tap inward to find this deeper insight. On the 11th, the moon will meet up with Mercury and the sun, which are here at the end of Pisces, getting ready to shift forward into Aries. And so that Mercury and Aries video will be coming up shortly here. That is a big transit that we will see coming into next week. But this is a huge time where the energy is shifting from Pisces to Aries. Again, this energy that has been very much this changing of the seasons is moving forward to this more active, energetic, lively energy. And you want to pay attention to your energy as you're shifting into this new space. This is starting to become more impulsive. This is starting to become much more energized, where this is all over the place. There's a lot going on here, especially as we're going to see Mercury in Aries and Mars in Gemini. These are mutual reception. And so this is a time where this Mercurial energy and this Martian energy are getting mixed. We have all of this mental activity, all of these distractions, all of these desires, all of these different directions that we're trying to go in. And so it's important to be able to bring back that energy to a grounded space, to use that energy in a productive way, to move towards your goals and not to get stuck in all of these little distractions and all of these little impulsive desires that are pulling us into multiple different directions. So that was your weekly horoscope. Now I will go into each of the zodiac signs and how this will affect you. I'm not going to talk about the major transits as I go into this. I will simply mention the moon's transit. We again have multiple videos on these shifts and changes that are coming here in April. If you have not looked at that yet, make sure to check out that videos. I have a whole list that is down in the description for you, and a playlist that will be coming out for all of these major April shifts for you. Again, that Mercury and Aries video is on the way. So let's go ahead and jump into each of your signs. Starting off here with the cardinal signs. For those of you with an Aries moon or Aries ascendant, we're starting off the week with the moon in your 9th house. And so this is a time, again, of listening to your higher wisdom, listening to your insight, moving towards your purpose. And as the moon shifts into your 10th house, this becomes a great time to use your purpose, your responsibility, your destiny to drive you. This is going to be the moon meeting up with Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. And remember that Jupiter is getting ready to shift into your 11th house. And so this is a major time to use up this energy here to work towards your goals, to work towards the things that you want to accomplish that are aligned with your path and calling. As the moon shifts into the 11th house, this becomes a huge time of looking at your dreams, looking at your goals of what you want to accomplish. The moon will be meeting up with Neptune. And so this becomes a great time for dreaming, for believing, for holding that faith in what it is that you want to accomplish. And again, if you are an Aries moon or Aries ascendant and you have not checked out that Mars in Gemini video, make sure to check that out. That is hugely important to these goals, these visions that you have that you want to accomplish. You can use this Mars and Gemini transit in a huge way to propel you towards your goals in life. From there, the moon is going to end up back in your 12th house. And so this becomes a time of releasing, of letting go of all of the stress, all of the tension as we come towards the end of the week, holding this space for a new chapter to open up. And there's a lot that is opening up as we have a whole stellium of planets that are getting ready to shift into your first house for those of you with an Aries moon or Aries ascendant. For those with the Cancer moon or Cancer ascendant, we're starting off the week with the moon in your 9th house. This becomes a huge time of focusing on your work, focusing on your responsibility, focusing on your goals and your daily routine. This is a huge time to put the energy towards this. And a lot of you feeling this, depending upon where your moon is in your chart, you're really feeling this push towards your goals, your responsibilities of what you want to accomplish. As the moon shifts into your 7th house, it meets up with Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn. Remember that this is the last time that Jupiter is going to be here in your 7th house before it shifts forward into your 8th house. And so this becomes a great time for your visions, your plans, for laying everything out on the table in terms of what you want to achieve, especially if you are in a business partnership. From there, the moon is going to shift into your 8th house, where it will meet up with Neptune. This becomes a great time to look inward, to look at if there are any blockages, any fears, any restraints, any unconscious issues that need to be worked through. So this is a time for deep reflection. This is a time to look within to see where any sort of insecurities are coming up. This is going to help you tremendously with building security, as this is aspecting over to your 2nd house. From there, the moon is going to end up in your 9th house, where we come towards the end of the week, where this is a time where you are learning, where you are growing. Again, a lot of internal work in order to move towards your goals, in order to move towards what you want to achieve at this time. For those of you with a Libra moon or Libra ascendant, we're starting off the week with the moon in your 3rd house. This is a great time to work towards your goals, your desires, what you want to see happen. And so using any source of knowledge, of skills that you have to move towards your goals and the things that you want to achieve is huge at this time for those with the Libra moon or Libra ascendant. From there, the moon is going to shift into your 4th house. Time to look inward at the things that need to be released and worked through. And this is a big part of this Mars in Gemini transit. So if you have not checked out that video, for those of you with a Libra moon or Libra ascendant, this is going to affect you in a huge way from your 4th house. The planets in your 4th house are going to affect this transit of Mars and Gemini. So make sure to check out that video so that you are prepared for the work that you will do moving forward. From there, the moon will shift into your 5th house, where it will meet up with Neptune. This is a great time to be creative. This is a great time to pull on inspiration, to express yourself in this area. Any sort of projects or goals that you want to achieve, this is a huge time to put your artistic mind to use to achieve these goals, to achieve these dreams that you want, putting the focus in on this. And again, we have all of this energy that's shifting into your 7th house as we move into this Aries season. So there's a lot of energy here to work with in terms of your business, in terms of what you want to achieve. So this is a huge time for this. From there, the moon is going to shift into your sixth house, where it will end up at the end of this week. And so this is a time, again, of working towards your goals, setting that routine, setting that schedule that will help you fulfill these goals that you're trying to achieve. For those of you with a Capricorn moon or Capricorn ascendant, we're starting off the week with the moon in your 12th house. There's a lot here that you're releasing as we're coming into this week. And so, from the things that you have not been able to accomplish within that previous week, this is time to close the door, to release those things and to move forward. For the things that did work, it is time to find that peace and closure with that. There's a lot here that is starting fresh as the moon is going to shift forward into your first house, where we have Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto. Jupiter getting ready to leave your first house and move into the second house. So this is a huge time to use all of your resources, all of your skills, everything that you have to work your way towards this new chapter. You are closing the doorway coming into this week. As the moon shifts into your second house, you want to pay close attention to your daily routine and habits. This is an area where the moon can get you into trouble. For those of you with a Capricorn moon or Capricorn ascendant, you can find yourself in a lot of fluctuating factors coming into this week. So you want to pay close attention to your eating habits. You want to pay close attention to how you are managing your wealth and making sure that everything is straight and in check, especially as this is going to be meeting up with Neptune. From there, the moon is going to end up in your third house. This is a great time to express yourself, a great time to use your creative skills coming towards the end of this week. And so you may find yourself being more expressive, wanting to put more ideas out there, gathering new ideas. This is a great time for this, for anything regarding publishing, writing, communication, especially as the moon will be aspecting over to your ninth house. For those of you with a fixed sign, this is your weekly horoscope for April 5th through April 11th of 2021. So starting off here, for those of you with a Taurus moon or Taurus ascendant, the moon will start off in your 8th house where it was finishing off from last week. Lots of changes that are happening here and lots of emotional ups and downs that can happen coming into the start of this week. But as you move forward here, the moon is going to shift into your 9th house, where this is a time where any sort of obstacles or difficulties that you went through in the previous week, this is time to use that to your advantage, to learn, to grow, to move forward. Once again, we talked about how anything that was a loss or a victory, using that to your advantage, using that as a lesson to propel you towards what you can accomplish in the next chapter. So this is not a failure. This is not a defeat for those of you who have faced difficulties or struggles in that previous week. This has been a lesson that you can use to your advantage. From there, the moon is going to shift up into your 10th house, where you may see some shifts in your career, in your job. You may have to work in a different location. You may have to work in a different way, or your work may require more of your support, more of your dedication with this moon here in the 10th house. So we're seeing these sudden shifts that can take place in your career, in your status, your position. This can shift coming into this week. From there, the moon is going to move up into your 11th house, where it will end up. This is very positive, where you can gain a lot. Again, starting off this week, we saw how the moon was in the 8th house, where this could give some obstacles, some difficulties for those of you with a Taurus moon or Taurus ascendant, especially with the moon controlling your 3rd house. You have this slow moving growth with the moon. And so, for those of you who have seen these obstacles, these delays, these issues coming up as the moon was transiting through your eighth house, this has been leading to your slow growth, to your slow build coming into this week. For those of you with a Leo moon or Leo ascendant, we're starting off the week with the moon in your fifth house. This is a great time to be creative, to express yourself, to work on any sort of projects, any goals that you have for yourself. And this energy will continue as the moon transits through your sixth and your seventh house. That you have so much creative energy and resources that you can use coming into this week, using your inspiration, using your knowledge, using your creativity to work towards your goals. And especially in business partnerships, this can work very well as the moon will be shifting through your seventh and your eighth house. Now, you want to be careful towards the end of the week as the moon ends up in your eighth house, where you can see some emotional fluctuation that can happen here. This can feel very difficult coming into this week, especially as the moon is controlling your fourth house, where you can experience losses. But remember that this is moving you towards a new chapter where we're seeing all these shifts and changes that are happening because there's something big that is coming. And if you have not checked out that video on Mars in Gemini, then you want to check that out because this is going to tell you all about these big changes that are coming for those of you with a Leo moon or Leo ascendant. For those with a Scorpio moon or Scorpio ascendant, we're starting off the week with the moon in your with the moon in your second house. You want to be careful in terms of spending coming into this week. You also want to pay attention to any sort of eating habits. The moon coming in can bring forth sweets, especially as it is controlling your ninth house. Moon is a very beneficial planet for those of you with a Scorpio ascendant. This is also a big time where you can earn a lot as the moon, again, is controlling that ninth house, which is a great house of good karma. There's a lot that you can gain coming into the start of this week. But again, just as quickly as you can gain it, you can also lose it with this fluctuating energy of the moon. So making sure that you're storing things properly, that you are remaining consistent in all of these areas is highly important. You may be more emotional in your speech coming into this week, wanting to connect back with your family more, thinking in terms of your family roots as you are coming into this week. From there, the moon will shift into your third house, where again, your communication can be much more sensitive, much more emotional coming into this week. This can be a great time for using your creativity, your imagination, especially as the moon will be shifting from your third to your fourth to your fifth. All of these houses are connected to the mind. This is a huge time to use your intelligence, your creativity to work towards any goals or projects during this week, especially as the moon will be with Neptune there in your fourth house. A lot of great deep insight and new ideas can come in that can help you tremendously in your career and in your goals within your life. This is a great time for this creativity. For those of you with an Aquarius moon or Aquarius ascendant, the moon is going to start out there in your 11th house. You can receive some support, some guidance coming into this week. You want to be careful though, because the moon is controlling your sixth house. And so this is a time where you can see some struggles or conflicts, but there's a lot here that you can gain from these conflicts. And so pay attention to any difficulties that you run into this week. Take everything as a lesson. There's a lot here that you can gain coming into this week. The moon here in your 11th house giving you some beneficial results in terms of gains from your work, from your career during this week. Moving forward, the moon will shift back into your 12th house. And so this is a great time for deep introspection, for looking within and sorting out any difficulties or struggles coming into this week. So for those of you who have had stressors, frustrations, difficulties, during this week that you have dealt with. This is a great time for going inward, reflecting, releasing, letting go of the stress and tension that can arise. From there, the moon is going to shift into your first house where you can have some emotional ups and downs. You can be a bit moody coming into this week, a bit more sensitive. You want to pay close attention to these emotional fluctuations that can happen coming into this week. This is a great time where you may feel more expressive, more so wanting to connect to others as the moon is aspecting over to your seventh house. But you want to be careful of conflicts as the moon controls your sixth house of legal issues. Any relationship issues or conflicts can arise coming into this week. From there, the moon will end up in your second house, where this can make your speech very emotional, very sensitive. You can feel more connected to your early childhood, to your past experiences coming into this week. You want to be careful of any sort of emotional eating, especially as the moon controls your sixth house. This can greatly affect your health and digestion. So you want to be careful of anything that you're eating and paying close attention to, are you eating or doing certain habits based upon your feelings? This is a time where you want to face and address any sort of feelings that come up, especially as that moon is going to shift through your 12th house and oppose its house that it originally rules for you, the sixth house. These are two health related houses. So you want to pay attention to any sort of anxiety, any sort of emotional issues that arise coming into this week. Let's go ahead and move forward to the mutable signs. So starting off here, for those of you with a Gemini moon or Gemini ascendant, the moon is going to start off in your seventh house. This is a very emotional, very sensitive time. You can receive a lot of support from your partner, or you can be looking for a lot of support from your partner. Remember that the moon is aspecting from your seventh house to your first house. So anything in the seventh house is a reflection of you. This is a time where you can feel more connected to your partner. You can want more emotional connection from your partner coming into this week. And especially as the moon controls your second house, you may be wanting to speak and connect more, looking for more security and stability within your partnership. From there, the moon is going to shift into your eighth house. This is a great week for business, as you can acquire a lot of wealth, especially as the moon is controlling your second house. Remember, though, that you can lose it just as quickly with the fluctuation of the moon, especially in the eighth house of sudden events. So you want to be cautious of making sure that you're saving, making sure that you are taking full responsibility and keeping things in order coming into this week. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into your ninth house. This is a great time for you to really use your knowledge, to use your skills, to work towards your goals, your visions. Remember that the ninth house is beneficial for those of you with a Gemini moon or Gemini ascendant, as it is controlled by Aquarius. And so there's a lot here in terms of your future plans, your goals, and thinking in terms of this. Paying attention to this, again, as the energy is starting to become more scattered, moving towards the end of this week as we're having these energies of Jupiter and Venus shift forward, and all of these planets that are getting ready to shift forward into the sign of Aries. From there, the moon will end up in your 10th house. You can see some shifting and changing in your career happening here. This is a great time to use your creative skills to express yourself coming into this week. Again, the moon controls your second house. Your speaking skills can be of great use for your career. For those of you with a Virgo moon or Virgo ascendant, we're starting off the week with the moon in your fourth house. This is a great time for internal reflection. This is a great time for relaxing, for going inward and finding that sense of peace within yourself. This can also be a time where you see some changes within your home or you're doing changes within your home. And so you may be moving some things within your home. You may be rearranging things within the home coming into this week, trying to find a sense of peace and comfort. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into your fifth house, where this becomes a great time to use your creative skills, to use your practical and intellectual skills to work towards your goals, as the moon will be aspecting over to your 11th house. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into your sixth house. Again, this is a great time for working on projects, a great time for working towards goals, a great time for rearranging your home, as this sixth house is also about daily routine and responsibility. And so many of you can come into this week thinking about doing some house cleaning, thinking about moving some things out of the home, donating some things at this time, as this sixth house is a house of service. From there, the moon will end up in your seventh house, where many of you are looking for deeper connections in your relationships. And this will continue as we move into the next week, as the moon will shift forward into your eighth house. This is also a time where, if you're in a business partnership, you can receive a lot of support, or you can experience a lot of changes and fluctuations that can happen in this arena. For those of you with the Sagittarius moon or Sagittarius ascendant, we're starting off the week with the moon in your first house. This can be a very emotional week for you, where you can see some changes in mood. You can find yourself actually changing yourself in a way where you're changing your personality, changing things that you no longer enjoy about yourself coming into this week. So a lot of fluctuations can happen. You want to keep your partner in the loop about any of these sudden changes and events that can take place in your life, especially as the moon is controlling your eighth house of sudden events. So this can greatly affect your partnerships, with that eighth house also being a house of intimacy. Moving forward here, the moon is going to shift forward into your second house, where you want to pay close attention to your wealth, to your finances, to your security. And especially as the moon is controlling your eighth house, you can see some sudden things happen here, some changes, some fluctuations, some obstacles that can arise that you want to be very cautious of coming into this week. With the moon here in your second house, you can also get into some conflict or disputes with your partner or with your family members, and so you want to pay close attention to this. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into your third house. This is a time where your communication becomes more sensitive, it becomes more endearing, and this can be a time where you feel very connected to your siblings or to your familiar surroundings. This is a great time to use your creative skills, to use your intellect. Coming into this week, the moon will be aspecting over to your ninth house, and in a conjunction with Neptune. This is a great time to use those creative skills for anything involving writing, communication. This can be a great time for writing a story or journaling coming into this week. From there, the moon will end up in your fourth house, where this is a time to find some peace within yourself. And you may find that you are shifting and changing in your home environment. You may be thinking of moving to a new home or rearranging things within the home at the end of this week. For those of you with a Pisces moon or Pisces ascendant, we're starting off the week with the moon in your 10th house. This is a time of your career changes and fluctuation that can happen here. Some of you may be traveling for your career. Some of you may be needing to make adjustments within your career, doing things differently coming into this week. So, a lot of ideas, a lot of creative insight, especially as the moon is controlling your fifth house. You have a lot of great insights into changes that you want to make. You want to be careful of confusion, as the moon is going to be controlling your 11th house. What do you want? What outcome are you trying to achieve during this week? And this is a big topic that we covered in the transit of Mars in Gemini. So if you have not checked out that video yet, again, there is a link down below in the description. This is huge when it comes to making decisions and choices about what you want to achieve. The moon will shift back into your 12th house, where this can be a great time of peace, of relaxation, of going inward, self reflecting. And so, this is a great time to meditate, to journal, to keep a dream journal as the moon shifts back into this 12th house. When the moon moves into your first house, this is a great time for you. You're becoming more sensitive, more creative. Remember that the moon is a functional benefic for you as it controls your fifth house. And so the moon can only give you great results here with this transit, where this is a great time to be more creative, to think in terms of what you want, all of these different ideas and inspiration that can come through. Now, you want to be careful because, again, we have all of this energy that's shifting towards Aries. We have Jupiter moving into Aquarius. And so, with all of this shifting energy and all of this energy that's going to be very impulsive, especially with this Mars and Gemini transit that's coming up, you want to find some stability as you're coming towards the end of this week, as there's a lot that is up in the air, a lot of energy that is scattered and spread out during this time. You want to be able to find that center, to find that balance within yourself. So this has been your weekly horoscope of April 5th through April 11th of 2021 for all zodiac signs. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you like this video, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button along with the notification bell. If you would like to learn more about Vedic astrology, there is a link down below in the description along with the comments. I have a course available in the Facebook group Astrology Lessons with Daquan Jones. If you have any additional questions or anything you'd like me to talk about regarding Vedic astrology, just let me know down below in the comments and I will bring it up in a future video. I want to thank you all so much for joining. I hope you all have a great day and I will see you in the next video.